Good evening, guys. This is going to be another video to you by Leffinen. I'm going to try and go through and explain to you guys what is the easiest way in order to grow in this game. So, I have a lot of people that they go through and they ask me, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I actually had somebody earlier on that was just like, look, I'll be your apprentice and everything. Like, I'll do whatever the heck it is that you say. And I'm just like, oh my. It's not exactly where I want you guys to follow my script exactly the way that I do. I want you guys to be able to have the freedom in order to basically do what you want in this game. Now, there are some easy things that I could go through and recommend, like, hey, do this, don't do that type of thing. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. Like, let's make this extremely simple and to where you can follow along, and this way you know exactly what you should be doing in order to grow. Okay. So I've talked about this in other videos and everything, but I'm going to do it to where this video is just going to hit straight on simple growth. That's all it is. Just grow in the game. Too many people, like, they're complaining in Kingdom chat, like, hey, I've stalled out. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should, start over and everything. I just read a comment about that like 10 minutes ago, and I'm just like, hey, if you want any help, look at my videos. So we're going to go through and look at what exactly is the most sensible way in order to grow easily, because when I'm going from G7 to G8, now granted, you do have to spend money when you get up a little bit higher. Like, it's not going to be free, and it is going to take some time, but it's to where it's still not that difficult to grow. To me, people treat it as though it's like, oh my gosh, I got to spend like 10,000 hours in order to grow. No, you don't. So let's look at what exactly are the simple ways in order to do this. All right, number one, prioritize. When I'm saying prioritize, you need to figure out what exactly matters the most to you in this game. If it is to grow, then you need to worry about growing. You do not need to worry about P versus P, player versus player. Don't worry about it, because it is an absolute darn waste of time. Too many people are like, oh, I'm gonna have to worry, I'm gonna have to guard my guys or do this or do that, blah blah blah, and they're talking about it with everybody else. And when they're talking to other players, they're wasting their growth time. A lot of people in this game, they spend so much time talking to other players. Don't do it. Whenever you're talking to somebody else, that means that that's less time that you're going through and hitting a crypt or going through and gathering resources or anything else. So the first thing is your priorities. Make sure that you know exactly what it is. If it is growth, then stop talking on the chats so much. Simple enough. If you want to make friends, talk on the chats. But if you're just about growth, do not do it. Either that, or make sure that you have it to where you're waiting in between like a major research or something like that, to where you need to wait for all the people to help in your darn clan before you could go through and actually bump up that research and speed it up. So first thing is prioritize. The second thing is smart spending. So for smart spending, the one guy that was just like, I'll do anything you ask, blah, 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 and everything. I'm like, cool, this is, awesome and everything, but let me show you what you should and should not be spending your money on. So number one, Triumphal challenge. I've talked about this so darn much and everything until I'm blue in the face with all the different people. And sometimes people are like, like the one guy, he was like, well, there's only 15 days left. Is it enough in order to actually make it worth it? Yes. Because chances are, if you're going through and doing the different, tasks, the different, epics and stuff like that, you're probably going through and you're getting at least 2 to 3 different levels per day on this, Triumphal challenge. And when you're getting 2 to 3 different levels, that means that you're getting all the different prizes and stuff like that. So you might have it to where you're only getting this one row, the free row. But then if you have it to where you purchase the golden, then once you do that, no matter what time of the month it is and everything, whether or not it's further into it or early on into it, you're getting all the ones that you've gotten for free. It'll backtrack it and give you all those for golden. So, let's say, for instance, that the guy that I was talking to, he's 15 days in. Let's say that he's on level 45 and everything. Can you imagine all the prizes that guy is about to crap himself over? Holy darn, man. Oh my gosh, I got all this stuff. Every single thing in this one, We get gold, we got silver, we got, speed ups, those token things, we get tar, all that stuff. And then it's just over and over. And then it's mercs. It's pretty much everything. So smart spending, at least have the golden pass. There's clans that are going through and deciding whether or not they want to merge with other clans, and they're expressly doing it because of the fact that their members do not have golden pass. It's like, oh, my guys aren't taking this seriously, the ones that don't have golden pass, so I'm not going to go through and put them in the more elite of the, clans. I'm going to hold them back. This is the number one easiest thing for you guys to do is golden pass. I would highly recommend that everybody does elite, and it's only for the people that are really, really, really trying to grow like super fast that you actually go through and get it to where you get the seasonal aspect involved, because they will have different missions and everything. You have your Valorant, which is usually just whack the crap out of a darn epic monster and you're going to complete Valorant very quick. The second one is the regular. Now, Valorant gives you more scrolls per thing than you get on the regular one, but it's still to where you got to concentrate on both. And then the final one is the seasonal one, but look at the amount of scrolls that you get on the seasonal. Now, also, if you buy it to where it's a package where you get the basically the gold, the elite, and the seasonal all together, I think it's like $139 or something like that if you're in the United States. If you're in euros, it's probably like 120 or something like that. That would be like where they give you the first 8 levels for free. So 1 through 8, all the gold that it's giving on level 1 or whatever, level 1, all that gold would be free. And that's a huge amount of gold. And then if you're doing that, chances are you're easily going to be hitting level 80. And on 79 or whatever, it has a huge, huge stash of gold. This one and this one is a vast amount and everything like that. So it's pretty good about recouping whatever it is that you've spent. So the second thing that I talked about, the first one is priorities. And the second one is smart spending. You're going to need to spend some money on this game in order to be able to go ahead with it. It's not free. Don't get anything wrong with it. But your goal would basically be to where it's like, okay, let's say that I have $200 a month in order to go through and spend on this game. I mean, some people do, some people don't and everything. But if you're playing it 5-10 hours a day and then doing your work the rest, doing your work and everything, your 8-hour job, that's like to where it's well worth it for your money and everything. I mean, like 5 hours, if you did 5 hours a day over 30 days, that's 150 hours. You'd be spending about $1.33 per hour in order to play this game. That's not a bad investment. Like, really not. So for that, you could go through and easily get this Triumphal, and then you could probably get at least 1, maybe 2 Merc packages. But you also, in this Triumphal, you get mercs for free. So it's like, if you don't have mercs and everything, and you get mercs or whatever, then yeah, it's good. But then like certain times of this month, you're going to run out of mercs or whatever. And then you could be like, okay, now I'm going to spend $50 on the Epic Monster Hunters, which is a very, very good sale that is a part of this, that therefore it unlocks it whenever you look at your limited sales. Like, let's go up to this. Under limited on the left-hand side, it'll have it to where the Epic Monster Hunters would be there. Now, it only lasts for so long, so many days to where it's going to be popping up and everything. So you kind of got to strike while the iron is hot and everything. And even if you have other mercs at the time, just go through and whack the living crap out of Epic Monster because of it. Like, hey, I wasn't planning on fighting this Epic Monster, but if it's Arachne and everything and I'm getting all those mercs, you best believe I'm going to be playing. I'm just going to apologize to people around me like, guys, sorry, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to go through and do this. All right, so priorities is number 1. That means don't be chatting all the time. Have it to where you focus and everything. And the second one is smart spending. The third one, construction and research. This is the one thing that a lot of people do not do enough of, because what they're doing is they're getting the different aspects and it comes on in, but then they're not immediately using them. So let's say, for instance, right, I was to have it to where I do an epic fight or whatever. I need to turn around and the very next second have it to where I have Farhad activated. So let's go through and pull up my captains. Farhad is activated. So is Aurora. Because right now I am on a kick, or I am on a mission in order to get G8 as quickly as I possibly can. So that one, I can terrorize my enemies, and two, I can have it to where when my kingdom opens and everything, I am not going to be everybody's punching bag. I do not have any interest in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making sure that I research with Farhad and I construction with Aurora. That is an absolute necessity. You need those two to be leveled up and everything. If you have like armor on them with enchantments or whatever and gems, it makes it even faster. And so like what I would do is basically for construction and research, here's what you need to do. You have 3 captain spots, right? One of them is going to be devoted to Farhad. So he's going to basically be in your city and everything, just going through and researching the entire time. And when you start a research, make sure that he is in your city, because if not, then the time is going to be way greater than what it would have been if you had used Farhad with it. The other thing is to where if you have premium and everything, which I highly advise for everybody, that you go through and you make sure that you get it. It's $4.99 a week, but it's the best $20 you could possibly spend in a month. I mean, like, seriously. If you're doing Triumphal, like, you know, the Golden and the Elite, which is more than enough and everything, then that's like $90. You could go through and do this. That's another $20. And then for the other, like, you know, $90 that you have, then you could go through and do like probably 1 or 2 Merc packages, and you'll be right around that $200 mark, give or take, whether or not you did 1 or 2 or whatever, at that $49.99 value and everything. That right there would get it to where you were going in the course of a month, guaranteed at least from one Guardsman level to the next. Anything below a G7, you're basically going through and going up 1 in the course of a month. And that's good growth. That is really, really good growth. So make sure that 1, you prioritize. 2, you have it to where you spend smart. And 3, you have it to where your construction and research. Now the third captain, which is why I started on and I should have finished, is going to be to where you need to get resources. So for me, I had it to where they had a building resources ×4 sale. It was basically one of those ones that pop up in the upper right hand corner if you're, you know, on your phone or computer or whatever. And it's going to be up here, kind of like this one right here where it's got the dragon and it says like, oh, for $4.99, you can get this and everything. And it's just like, yeah, that's all nice and all. And then, like, let's say that you get it. Then the next one is going to be $9.99. And the next one after that is going to be $19.99. And then $49, then $99, then $2.49. And if you're in Europe or whatever, then, you know, it's going to be slightly different. It'll be like $4.25 or, you know, or I'm sorry, $4.25 in euro and, you know, 9 in euro or whatever. You guys get the point. But anyways, it was building resources ×4. If you ever see that sale on either side, I would highly suggest that you get it. Now, when I was in the lower levels, right, like when you first start the game, if you got that sale and everything, the building resources ×4, that is the best idea for you to do. If you did not get the sale and everything, then what you need to do is have it to where at least one of your captains is constantly gathering. So let's say, for instance, that I'm using Helen. Now, right now, Helen has it to where I have her set up as she's basically gathering resources, and gathering resources for her 3 pieces of armor, which are all Swift Wayfarer. So then I would basically go through it and have it to where, like, if you have the Watchtower, use it. A lot of times you'll get these for free from other people and everything. Or you can get it as part of the Triumphal Challenge. when you have that little shop area or whatever, you can always go through and buy the watchtower as one of your items. It's only $4.99 for like the 1 week one. And I think for a month it's like $9.99. So it's not bad. Like if you're trying to factor that into your $200 budget, that still gives it to where you have enough in order to do like one, Epic Monster Hunters package and everything, which is still going to get you enough in order to get to where you do the next Guardsman level or whatever. So you would go down to mines. And then whenever you're picking the different one, and I've had it to where some people are like, oh, I'm afraid to go through and pick one of these resources because I think my guys are going to get killed by somebody else. Depending upon your kingdom's ROE, rules of engagement, you can get away with like having it to where you send out your guys. And, but when you do it, make sure that you do not send your guys to an area in another clan's basically zone, right? All clans have a zone or whatever. So let me go through and show you like which one you would want to pick. Number one, I don't go for anything less than 2 mil. Like if it's 1.6, I'll do it. But if it's like 1.2 or 1 million or less, I am not doing it. Because then you send your guy usually by speed ups, which you're going to use speed ups and everything in order to make sure that you get there first. And then after that point and everything, you're going to have it to where they have their travel time to there and back there. So it's just better if you go for like go big or go home, right? So let's say that we did this $2 million, 2 million stone one. So then it's going to show up wherever the heck it is in your, kingdom, which there's somebody on it right now. So then I can always do watchtower. Let's go down a little bit. See if we could go like a little bit further away. That one's taken. Whenever it has this icon, like a person and everything, that means that it's taken. So this way you don't try and send guys there. And then let's go down further. If it's above 2 million, that means that somebody personally built it. Do not touch it. Because then you're going to piss off somebody. So let's say that we went for this 2 million lumber. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's nowhere around anybody else. I'm looking and I'm trying to find, the line or whatever. Now, coincidentally enough, it is to where it belongs in my clan's area. As you can see the line. One way that you could tell whether or not you're in the... Oh, wait, it's actually outside my area. Yeah, because of the shading. So if you ever are like, is it on my side or is it on somebody else's side? Look at the line. See how you got the solid line right there and then you got the shading on one side of it? Kind of like right here in the corners or whatever. That means that on here, on this side, is basically your clan's area. If this is red, a red line, and it's shaded like that, then this would be an enemy clan's area. This one is out in the middle of nowhere. I see absolutely no clan buildings or nothing. So that means that I could go through and I could capture this. All you have to do is hit capture. And what I usually send in order to go get this and everything, because I always like to have it to where I'm ready to fight at any given moment, I usually send my archers. Now, the carrying capacity, which means the amount of stuff that somebody can bring with them, is better on a spearman than it is on a archer. It's better on a rider than it is on an archer and everything. It goes spearman is the best, then rider, then archer. But archers are usually only for defense. And if you're in a peace mode to where you're not having to fight anybody, then have it to where you go through and you send your archers that way. So you would just click on your captain, scroll on down, ignore all your mercs and everything like that. You don't want to send them for this type of stuff. And then you just click on this. Now, for the amount of guys that you're going to need in order to basically do a 2 million resource haul, is going to probably be somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 guys. That would basically have it to where, depending upon the level of them and how much you've upgraded carrying capacity, is whether or not you're going to be able to get away with 3,000 or you're going to be able to get away with 5,000. For most of the time, just go through and start playing with it. Like, hey, if I send 4,000, is that enough in order to get everything in there? So then you would just go through. You can type it in where you go like, backspace 4,000. Or you can just slide the cursor along until you get to where it's like, 4,000-ish. That's close enough. 4,083, that's close enough. And then you would just hit start march, and then you speed it up and everything, and then poof, you capture it, right? So that's basically what, like, whenever you're going through and trying to do construction and trying to constantly go through and upgrade, you're going to need at least one captain constantly going out and getting resources. I would highly advise that you use straw ore, the little short dwarf and everything like that, but that would be a good way to do it. All right, so now we know that we need construction and research. Now, for those of you that are like, what the heck am I going to go through and research and everything? Let me show you, because there is an absolute art to this, to where, or a strategic minded aspect to where it's like, if you waste your time on these things, you will not grow very fast. Okay, so let me show you exactly what I do. Now, there's two different methodologies behind this. There is the even approach, to where you're going like, let me show you. You would do Guardsman first, then you would do monsters second, because monsters can go through and give you more valor points. So that is a good way in order to help you. But do not use monsters against epics, because monster coins are very, very hard to come by and everything. So if you're trying to use monsters against epics, you're going to waste your army real, really quick and run out of them. So some people, they'll do Guardsmen, then monsters, then they'll do Engineer Corps, and then they'll go to something like Archaeology. So that this way you could go to Crypts level 2, Crypts level 3. That's all well and good and everything, but in all honesty, I would get to a level that you're comfortable with first, and then go through and worry about Archaeology later. So sometimes you could just skip like certain things. So here's the second way that you do this. And this is the one that I prefer, and I think is the best way for everybody out there to go through and try and do this game. You get your valor points from your guardsmen and your mercs. Your mercs will only go the level that basically they will only go up if you're gaining in guardsman level. So you have to gain in guardsman level in order to get stronger mercs, in order to get more valor points. And you also have to, level up your guardsmen in order to do more valor points in order to be able to level up. So guardsman is the only thing that you really should care about. Like, let's say, for instance, right, I was a beginner player and I just started. Because in Beowulf Kingdom, I had to do this. And I wanted to go through and level up as quickly as I possibly could so that people don't mess with me and everything else. Granted, you're going to want to bubble for at least the first 2 weeks or whatever. But after that, you're going to be like, okay, I'm bored of this. I want to fight. So what if you went through and just did Guardsman by itself? So let me show you exactly what that looks like. So on your phone, it's going to be to where it's across the top and then it works its way down like this. On the computer, you go from left to right and everything. So you're going across like that. So if I did Spearman first, like if I was going through and upgrading, every single time I do Spearman first, because they are usually the best against monsters and especially epic monsters. So I'll do Spearman first, then Riders. That way, at least I have the help that they need, because these are the only two that I really send in order to be able to fight the epic monsters, usually. So I send so I upgrade these two, and then I work on archers, and I'll work on battle griffins if it's there or whatever. But instead of going through and hitting, like, after I get these three for level 2, what if I just went through and then I turned around and I kept on going on Guardsmen? Do the 2 prerequisites, do the 2 things that you have to do before then, where you have to get them up to level 10, and then do your next level of Guardsman. Now, for those of you that are just like, well, wouldn't this cause you to be vulnerable because you wouldn't have like level 2 or level 3 catapults? Yes, that's why you bubble. Like, it's kind of like a duh, people. You don't have to fight people. You don't have to do PvP. It is absolutely unnecessary half the darn time. Too many people get caught up in it because they're like, oh, total battle, we're going to fight. And it's just a measuring contest. For the women that are going through and watching this video, guys do it. They do measuring contests all the darn time, figuratively and literally. For you guys, you do it, so don't even try and deny it. So then what you do is you keep going Guardsman, Guardsman, Guardsman. And as you're doing this, you're gaining levels. Now, if you have these little side excursions like, oh, Captain Bernard and oh, Captain Lucius, Ignore them. Just keep going. You will get these guys purely by summons. Like you go through and you do a summon or whatever, and bam, you got this guy. All right, cool. Don't care. All you really need is Ada at the very beginning of this game, and then you can just go through it. Just like keep on going. And then if you get a chance, get Cleopatra. Ada and Cleopatra, you will be fine. And then also you need Farhad and you need Aurora and Stror. Those are the 5 that you really need. Other than that, just ignore the other people. Now, granted, it's nice to have the other captains, but it's really not necessary. Ada, Stror, Aurora, Farhad, Cleopatra. If you want me to repeat that, I will, because so you can write it down. Ada, Stror, the little dwarf dude, Aurora, Farhad, and Cleopatra. Those are your 5. Now go through and get it to where you keep on going on Guardsman, and you go across. Keep going, keep going. Doria is great and everything like that if you do a lot of Arachne and everything. So if you have to do a 6, she would be your number 6. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then you get here. So what this says is Archers 5, Spearmen 5, Riders 5, and Battle Griffin 5. You can get to level 5 and be like, you know what? I'm good. And then after this point and everything, once you get the Spearmen and the Riders or whatever, finish it out with these guys or whatever. Battle Griffins are good for assaulting other people's, cities or whatever. So this would be to where you actually start competing against other people. You don't need catapults half the darn time. If you have Battle Griffins, you're good. If you have archers, then you have good city defense. So then that would be a good area to basically get to. So I would recommend anybody that's below the level of G5, stop researching anything else. Go straight Guardsman. So we have to prioritize, which means that we're not talking all the time on this. We're not doing PvP. We're having it to where we're focusing. You have to go through and you have to spend smart in order to be able to get up here. And if you do one merc package per level and everything like that, this is going to be so easy for you to go from like level 4 on up to level 5. It's not that difficult. As you get up higher, that 1 turns into 3, which turns into like 7, turns into like 10, and all this other kind of stuff, or more actually. So it's going to get more expensive and everything. It's going to get harder. But if you're a Guardsman level 5, you can participate in most things and not have it to where you get face stomped by everybody. So that would be my suggestion. Like, when you research, do straight Guardsman. Do not do Siege. Do not do Monsters. Because when you first get Monster ability, which is, I think, level 3, you can ignore it. You can just be like, nope, I'm going to go through and I'm going to keep going and everything, because you still have to research monsters in order to be able to get them. Plus, until you're level 5, you probably have not been playing this game long enough in order to actually have it to where you have a lot of dragon coins. So therefore, trying to do monsters would be stupid. So what you do, let me get out of this so you see it. Just do straight Guardsman 1. Get up to where you have Guardsman level 5. And then after that, if you want to go through and be like, okay, now I'm going to work on monsters. Do levels 3, 4, and 5. And then you go through and you're like, okay, I'm going to do Engineer Corps. Do levels 2, 3, 4, and 5. For Archaeology, you could do 2, 3, 4, and 5. But Archaeology sucks the living hell out of your Valor points and everything to make it to where you're not going to be able to grow that quickly. So a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do higher crypts, higher crypts, higher crypts. Your clan is going to be hitting enough crypts so that you're not even going to care about it. Like, sorry to say this and everything, but when you're in the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks of playing this game, you should not be worried about whether or not your clan likes you. The way that your clan is going to like you is that you're trying and you're participating and everything else like that. And as long as you're hitting that help button and everything, trust me, you are a valued member. You go through down to clan, you hit help over and over and over for everybody's actions. You do that, they're going to love you. And then just tell them, hey, once I get Guardsman level 5, I will help you guys as much as I possibly can. But until then, I'm useless. And sad to say, it's pretty true. Like, nobody that is a G7 is going to care if a Guardsman level 4 is doing anything. Like, oh, you went to a level 10 crypt. Wow, that prize is something that, trust me, I don't even notice. I don't notice a prize until you're really at like crypt level 20 and above. Other than that, don't care. So why don't you go through and like make it to where like you're doing what you need to do in order to grow quick? Okay, so we have prioritize, spend smart, and construction and research. The construction side of it, and I'm going to try and do this quickly. When you first started the game, for those of you that are like just starting out or whatever, and you enter into the city, and then it's to where there's nothing here. Before you level up your hero, do not try and level up your hero. Do not fight anyone. If you get that building resources times 4, you literally do not have to do any fights. All you do is you sit in your city and you basically would go through and you would have it to where like you would level up your farmer houses, your warehouse, your temple, your academy, your everything. Every single building that you see here, build up everything and get it to where it's at least level 20. 25 would be preferable and everything. But what happens is if your hero does not reach level 20, then you do not have to worry about speed ups. It is an automatic speed amplifier. So let's say, for instance, that I started the game. And I'm probably going to do a video over this, like, in the future, just so that you guys can see, hey, this is exactly what he was talking about. Start it, get that building resources times 4. Do not fight anything after you get into the city and you actually have it as yours. Don't fight anything. If they're like, oh, well, if you go, rescue so-and-so. Yeah, rescue Ada and everything, but that's about it. So then after that point, you basically go through and you're going to build your city to where all of your buildings will be at least at level 20. What would be preferable is that you get it up to 25. Then at that point, then you can go through and start fighting the other things, and your hero is going to get up to level 20. And then after that point, you will have to spend on speed ups and everything, but you can get such a boost on it so that this way, when you're trying to get to Guardsman level 5, your buildings are already done. Your buildings is the biggest waste of time in this game because it takes forever. You have to go through and like click on this, click update and everything. And then I have to go through and wait for other people to go through and hit the help button in order to be able to speed this up. This is 84 days. For those of you that don't know about speed ups and everything, these speed ups are definitely hard to come by. I can't even tell you how much money I've spent on just speed ups. It's probably close to $1,000. It is disturbing. So if you went through from the very beginning and you did the building resources times 4, built your city on up to basically 25 for every single building, then you're already, you're already like there. Your construction is done. All you had to do was click on like using the resources that you got from the building resources times 4, where you do the $4.99, the $9.99, the $19.99, the $49.99, the $99 one. If you do at least the $99 one, you can get up to Guardsman level 5. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have that money. Yes, it's going to be costly. It's going to cost you $180 to do it. But then what happens is if you spend $180 and then you basically buy 2 Merc packages, you can get up to all the way up to Guardsman level 5. It costs you $300 and you're Guardsman level 5, and then you are ready to play the game. Anybody that's below the Guardsman level 5, and they're whining and they're crying about, oh, I can't go through and progress, you're doing it wrong. Like, trust me, you're just flat out doing it wrong. Like, I have sympathy for people that do not have the money for this game. But you can't possibly tell me if you're going to spend 100 hours in the course of a month playing this game that you cannot scrap together $300 in order to go through and at least kickstart this game in the right way. And then after that, you can shrink down to $50 a month or whatever. But this is basically how you grow. Getting up to Guardsman level 5 is the only thing that matters. So we did construction. We have the research. All you do is you concentrate on The Guardsman, you do not do anything else until you hit Guardsman level 5. After that, what you could do is, so like my troops, I did Guardsman level 6, I did Monsters level 6, I did Engineering level 6, and then I did not do Archaeology. Because what I'm able to do, I'm still able to hit a common crypt up to 25. That's still really good. Then what you can do is you can have it to where you're like, okay, now instead of going Guardsman, Monster, Engineer Corps, which is exhausting, by the way, it's like, oh, I got this, but then I gotta get that. Skip the darn Engineer Corps. Have it to where you're like, hey, I'm actually wanting to do a little bit of player versus player, but you don't need Great Walls. You don't need to have it to where you have the siege engines that can, bombard the living crap out of somebody's city. You can still go through and fight people and everything else like that without having this being great. You just stop defending so much and you start going on offense more. So what you could do is then you're like, okay, I'm going to do Guardsman level 6, and I'll ignore the Engineer course. And I'll also ignore the Archaeology. And then you do Guardsman level 7 and also, Monsters level 7. Ignore the Engineer Corps, ignore the Archaeology. Then at that point, because Guardsman level 8 takes you so darn long, like trust me, it is not easy. I'm doing Guardsman level 8 on my main account and on Beowulf account at the exact same time. For those of you that don't know what Beowulf account is, it's basically to where there's a challenge that they have going on for 90 days. You have to start from the very beginning of the game with a new account and try and get that thing up as high as you can on Guardsman level. So the only thing I've done is Guardsman level 2, Guardsman level 3, Guardsman level 4, Guardsman level 5, Guardsman level 6, Guardsman level 7. And I'm about to get Guardsman level 8, and I ignored everything else. The only other thing that you need to do in this game, and you will inevitably get there because of the fact that they'll do Shadow Invasion or Shadow Kingdom or whatever. It's right down here. Army modernization. So when you're going through and trying to figure out what the heck do you need to research and what is important, Army modernization and Guardsman 1. That is all you really need to do. And then you get to a certain level and you're like, you know what? I'm good. I got to Guardsman level 7. I'm going to go through and, get the rest of this stuff. Guardsman level 8 is going to take me so gosh darn long. I don't want to be weak during that time. But what happens is when you go through and you get to Guardsman level 7, you have climbed so darn quick, but you're gaining so much valor that it's easy to dip into the other areas. Like, oh, I'm going to dip into Monsters 1. I suddenly, therefore, in the course of 3 fights, can complete Monsters level 1, for the level 3, level 4, and level 5, all in the course of a few fights. If I'm getting 20 billion per fight, because I have Guardsmen at level 7, I guarantee you the research for all this is going to be really freaking easy. It's going to be like, hey, I just got, all these Valor points and everything. I got 20 billion. I guarantee you I can do Engineer Corps for level 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all with 20 billion. So it makes it so much easier for you guys to do this. If you're thinking, oh, do Guardsmen, and then do Monsters, and then do Engineer Corps, then do Archaeology, you're wasting your time. Seriously. So, to wrap this video up, just because of the fact that I'm trying to get you guys to be able to understand this, to make things easy on you. Number 1, prioritize. If it does not really matter, specialists do not really matter, do not do it. Do not do not have it to where you're constantly talking on the chat and everything like that, trying to get to know people and everything. You can be friends with people later once they can respect you. If you're a small little peant or whatever, nobody's going to care. So prioritize. Number 2, smart buying. Triumphal sales. Have it to where you go through and you get the premium, like this thing over here with the P. And then also have it to where you get the Epic Monster Hunters $49.99 sales package or whatever. You do those 3 things, you're going to be really good really quick. And then the third and final thing is construction/research. upgrade all these buildings as quickly as you can. Get that building resources ×4 sale. If you get the $250 one as a part of it, where it's $499, $999, $1949, $99, and $249, you will have enough building resources in order to get you to probably Guardsman level 7. So if that's your goal, then get the $250 one also. But if it's just Guardsman level 6, then get up to the $99 one. And trust me, it is well worth it, because then out of your 3, different spots for captains, I had it to where I did not get it, and I was basically sending Straor, Helen, and Sophia constantly out in order to go get resources and gather and gather and gather. And it takes forever. I still did it a lot quicker than other people because I had my guys constantly gathering 24 hours a day. But the construction part is what slows you down. And then for research, just prioritize. Guardsman, 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 Guardsman. That's it. After you get to a level that you're comfortable at, then do monsters. Monsters, 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 monsters. Then switch to Engineer Corps, Engineer Corps, Engineer Corps. And then finally go to Archaeology, Archaeology, Archaeology. And then also for research, you have to do Army Modernization first. If you get CP, which is Conquest points, from Shadow Kingdom or Shadow Invasion, put all of them on here. Do not put them in Specialists. Trust me, this category matters about nothing. I mean, granted, at some point, it does help to have it, but for the time being, when you're first starting out, the most important thing is to basically get it to where your warriors, when they hit somebody, it feels like they've been working out in the gym like the 300 guys constantly. If you have the 300 guys hitting other people, you're going to do some serious damage. If you have it to where you have Diary of a Wimpy Kid going through and fighting them, they're not going to give 2 craps about you, and your valor points that you get is going to be nothing. So Army Modernization in order to have your hits be stronger. And when you do that, the main things that you need to go through and hit: Army Strength, Army Health, and then Melee Strength and Health, and Riders Strength and Health. Those are the things that you really need to do. And as you're scrolling across, now granted, I did like all these or whatever, and you're going to have it to where you go straight down the middle and everything. You don't have to do the little side excursions or whatever. Like I did the side ones, but you don't have to do these. You don't have to do Proscope. You don't have to do Siege Engines, health and health of fortifications. You don't have to do those. But you will have to do the ones down the middle in order to be able to access further into it. So prioritize your, Army Modernization and your Guardsmen. Those are the 2 most important things. And with that, now you guys know how to grow. Make sure you prioritize smart buying and go through and research and construction. And when you do it, only concentrate on Guardsmen and also your Army Modernization. I think that about covers it. If you guys like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. If you have it to where you're like, hey, I really want a video over this or a video over that, trust me, guys, they are coming. I have to have it to where I think like, hey, this would be a good video that would actually help people. And I'm trying to get feedback from people that have seen these and been like, okay, I can help you with that. These videos are not meant for you if you are a really, really high level player. We will eventually get to the point to where I will do videos about exactly how many guys you need and of which type in order to kill each type of monster. But the golden rule of it is epic monsters, riders, and melee units. When you're killing a monster around the map, like common or rare or whatever, riders and spearmen, or riders and melee units. You have those, you're good. All right, guys, you enjoy your evening. That's all for this one, and you'll have other videos to follow. Bye.